A couple weeks ago, Minecraft just finally announced what their new update is going to be. Well, not really an update, but it's just more of like a feature drop. And it is the Pale Garden, which is actually the biome that I'm in right now. As you can see, I'm already in this biome because they actually just released the snapshot not too long ago that you can actually play. And, well, I'm a little bit late, but it's alright. Obviously, you can tell by my skin, I themed it around the Pale Garden, and if you know what the creaking is, that's what my eyes are. Anyways, this garden is kind of cool, but at the same time, I think that it can actually have a lot more. I think that the idea of having sort of a spooky place to be that feels nice and calm at daytime and scary at night is a really cool concept for Minecraft, and I really like the idea. But there's a couple things that could definitely improve about it. The first thing is that it's called the Pale Garden, and yet it just feels like a forest. I think that that's one of the biggest things that is the issue with this whole new biome, is the fact that it is called something that it doesn't even appear to be. Today, I'm going to share a couple features and ideas that I have for the Pale Garden to actually improve it and make it something that is a little bit more worthwhile adventuring. I think the actual state of the Pale Garden right now is just sort of boring, and it doesn't really add much to the game other than the fact that you can obtain the creaking. But other than that, I don't know, there's not really much else of a reason to stay here. So anyways, allow me to show you some of my ideas. The first idea I actually came up with for the Pale Garden was this white rose bush. We don't really have a white rose in this game, but we have the normal rose and then the wither rose. I thought it would be cool if there was an iteration of it that was a white rose. The thing about these rose bushes is that they actually act exactly the same or similar to the berry bushes, mainly because it's a retextured berry bush, but it basically gets the point across of what I want for it. It will damage you in survival mode. I am in creative mode, so it doesn't really do anything. So let's switch to survival. It just damages you as you move through it. Now, obviously, you would probably want this as decoration around your house. You know, have it in your yard, have a little garden full of different flower types. But the thing is, you don't want it just poking you all the time. So to fix that, you could actually shear off the thorns and pick them up. And when you plant the bush, it starts off as just a single little rose, which I think could be cool if you just shear this so that it won't grow into the bush. So you could have a single rose if you want. I actually thought that thorns would be a good way to craft potions of harming, since, you know, it harms you. And yeah, originally I thought poison would be a good one, but I then realized that harming kind of makes a little bit more sense. Now, you may have been looking at it the entire time while I was explaining the last thing, but this is another idea that I have for the Pale Garden. This is the creaking mushroom. Now, the idea that I have behind the creaking mushroom is to simply mimic the eyes of the creaking, making you wonder if you're looking at a mushroom or a creaking. I think the creaking already blends in with its surroundings enough, and the only way to decipher whether it's there or not is through the orange glowing eyes. But I still thought it would be cool if it blended in a little bit more. The orange yellow eyes that are glowing at night would still be much more visible than these at nighttime, but still just that little mix of confusion for maybe a new player or somebody just coming along in this biome. And you may have been looking at this the whole time. This is the grown-up or giant version of the creaking mushroom. As you can see, it's got a mostly single texture for the top. You have the different stem texture, but then there are these little blocks, which I haven't completely set on a name for them. I was thinking maybe something like the creaking mushroom eye block or something, but this would be the creaking mushroom stem, creaking mushroom block, and these would just be new building blocks. And if I actually grab this stem, you can actually see this inside little pattern. I don't know what that could be used for, but maybe something cool. It looks sort of alien, and that's kind of the vibe I want to give off anyways, is sort of an alien, interesting vibe. That's the vibe Minecraft wanted to give off of this biome, is that it's, you know, weird and that it's kinda unique and something you've never really come across before. Now, one last thing about this block is actually, let me switch it to nighttime. So as you see here, these blocks actually emit a little bit of light, a light level of 3 to be exact, just giving off a tiny bit, making it a nice little moody block. And it doesn't really light up the area a bunch, but it just adds that little touch of, oh, there's a guy. It just adds that little touch of maybe even spookiness and eeriness to this forest. Now, another thing that I think would be cool for the Pale Garden is actually having different generating structures. This is one of the 2 ideas that I had for generating structures, and I think I would just call this one the Garden Ruins. Now, as you can see here, there are these white pumpkins, or as I will call pale pumpkin, because that just rolls off the tongue and, you know, it just starts with the same letter. These actually won't spawn anywhere else in the Pale Garden aside from a Garden Ruins. So the actual only way to obtain these pumpkins is to find this generated structure. Another thing about this is that you can find these chests inside of the water. These would contain thorns, the pale pumpkin seeds, a iron hoe that would probably have Curse of Vanishing 80% of the time, and maybe that 20% you get lucky and you get kind of a nice little iron hoe. Who knows? And then the new bundles, a light gray bundle just to match the theme of pale, and this would have a couple of pale pumpkin seeds and then maybe some normal pumpkin seeds is what I was thinking for it. Also, you get the pale hanging moss inside of these. Another thing, if you notice, I used the tough block here. This could be a cool source of tough stairs. I don't know. But I don't think that tough blocks spawn enough in the wild, and I think that the color matches really well with the biome. So I thought it was cool. And then even utilizing the new even pale oak wood set. As you notice, this is also a very big deposit of thorns. So there's these as well. There's a lot of these, which normally they would spawn in about a group of 3 to 5, but here there is just a giant cluster because it is a forgotten garden. Also, talking about this is the pale carved pumpkin and the pale jack-o'-lantern. I wanted to actually make it so the pale carved pumpkin wasn't exactly the same as the normal pumpkin, and it has a bit more of a spooky look to it with a smile instead of just this blank stare. Also, this is the jack-o'-lantern form again, just for reference. It lets off the same amount of light as a orange pumpkin, which is 15. But yeah, this is a comparison just between all 4 of them. I do really enjoy the face that I created for this pumpkin, and I think that it's just really cool. Okay, and then the final generated structure is gonna be right over here. If you can see, it's just a little grave with some coarse dirt so that it doesn't grow over, and then some little candles just lit to each side of it. And then you can actually dig down inside of the grave, finding a chest containing bones, the pale hanging moss, iron, gold nuggets, and this very good iron sword. The idea that I wanted behind this iron sword is that maybe it was some sort of adventurer or somebody on their quest, and I don't know, they were failed and then buried here for some particular reason. I don't know, maybe somebody knew them or came along. But just the idea of having a strong sword, a strong iron sword that you can just come across maybe even early on in your playthrough is a really cool idea to me. And then even having the gold nuggets, maybe showing that maybe they had some sort of jewelry or something. Also, the amount of bones you can find in here is a very good source of bone meal. So it would be very convenient to come across this. Obviously, you're kind of defiling somebody, but or defiling their remains in Minecraft. But yeah, I'm just gonna bury that back up. But I think it would be funny if you did actually get an achievement that sort of nods towards, like, you probably shouldn't be doing this, but hey, it's got cool stuff in it. Something I did forget to mention when talking about the rose bush was I also thought it could be a cool hazard for you. You know, you have the creaking, and then you're kind of like trying to watch him and you're backing up so that he doesn't come after you, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're stuck in a thorny rose bush. So it could add even more caution, like you are looking at them and then you run into it and you're freaking out because you're taking damage, so then now you're like extra cautious, and it's just a lot of chaos. It's like just overwhelming, but I think that that's the perfect feeling for what this forest is supposed to be at night. Like, it's nice and calming and soothing during the daytime, but then at night it's just chaos breaks out. And I just thought that having something like a hazard that's in this forest would be a great idea for that, just so that, you know, it's kind of freaking you out and you're like looking all over the place, being frantic and making sure you're not poking yourself while also trying to look at this guy. And I don't know, you want to get out of this forest as soon as possible. The nighttime is basically the vibe that I'm going for having that as well. And then one last thing I actually did think would be a neat idea. If you didn't notice already, I have my render distance turned all the way down to kind of mimic the effect of fog. But I do think that it would be much cooler if this biome just had this effect naturally, because currently you can see all the colors around you of the different biomes from far away. Sure, I can see that right now, but if I walk down like in the middle of here, and now I'm like looking around, maybe I see that azalea bush or tree. Yeah, it has a lot of saturation, but for the most part, I feel kind of more immersed inside of this environment I'm in when there is like a dense fog. So yeah, those were a couple ideas that I had for the Pale Garden biome. I hope you all did like the ideas that I had for this biome, and if you did, make sure that you comment and let me know what you think, and maybe even comment something else that you think would be cool to add. I would love to hear your guys' ideas, and who knows, maybe I could even make a follow-up video adding your ideas of what you think could be a cool idea. Now, I can't really do any crazy stuff, but kind of all I can really do is just retexture things, but hey, I don't know, maybe I could still do something. He's interrupting me. So yeah, just let me know if you guys like my ideas, and if you want to see any more videos like this. I do have more videos coming, so stay tuned for those. Anyways, I hope you all have a great day or night, whichever it is, and I hope to see you all later. Bye. Oh yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe.